And good evening, everyone, and welcome back to 3-Digit World Cup 2023. It is incredibly late at night, or early in the morning, depending on where you are, but we're settling in for a bit of a nightcap to start off the finals weekend. We've got Winners Final, we've got United States, we've got South Korea, we've got T1G, and we've got ChillierPear.
I had you at 160% volume. My ears are bleeding. Oh my god. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to 3-Digit World Cup. We are here with the United States versus South Korea. This is the match you've all been waiting for. This is the number 1 seeded team versus the number 2 seeded team in the winners bracket. And one of these two teams is fighting for a guaranteed top 2 placement, and one of them is fighting for a guaranteed top 3 placement. That has yet to be determined, and this match is going to reveal that to us. And they're already getting into picks and roll.
Yeah, we didn't even get to do any sort of preview or any sort of predictions. It's just going. When you're playing this late at night, as are a lot of the USA players, I can understand wanting to jump right into things, and right away we see exactly, I think, what anybody who knew anything about this match going in was pretty much going to expect. USA banning Nomad 5 Hidden 3, saying, no, worst HR player, you don't get to single-handedly beat us. And South Korea saying, we don't want to play speed against this United States team, and banning out DTs 2 and 3. So I think kind of what was most likely to happen did end up happening with those bans.
Not too much out of order here at the start of the match. I think both of these teams are really going to be on their toes going into the starting of this match. You've got to be careful on kind of both sides of this here. Obviously, we mentioned, worst HR player has been easily the highest performing tournament player as of recent memory for most people, I believe. You see his name everywhere nowadays. In the United States, with their kind of seasoned veteran tournament history roster here and really, deep player pool to pick from, have put together quite a terrifying roster this year around. So both of these teams going to be vying for every single one of these possible points. The United States going to be starting that off with their free mod 1, so we talked about South Korea avoiding the speed. The free mod 1 is going to bring it into the speed a little bit with a very stamina-oriented speed map, actually. 222 BPM for 2 minutes, and it's pretty much all repeated bursts and streams for the entire duration, so they are just going straight into this at 1 in the morning for quite a few of these UFOs.
Yeah, on the other side though, right? South Korea trying to get ready to go for a morning match here at let's see, 5. Well, for some people it might be a morning match. That's what this is. 2. Is it 2 p.m. or 1 p.m. their time?
I think it's
5 UTC.
I think it's 2
p.m. Yeah, so I don't know. They've got some weird sleep schedules out there, but this is definitely a much friendlier time for South Korea than some of the USA players. But I think this is, time of day notwithstanding, I think this is kind of what we're going to expect to see, right? We're going to see United States probably picking into the raw mechanics type of stuff, and South Korea picking into worst HR player maps, because he has been one of the best, if not the best players in this tournament, and really in the tournament scene in general over the past few weeks, few months. So he's the scary player for both of these teams. He's South Korea saying worst HR player go kill, and for the United States they're saying don't let him beat us. And so we're going into speedy free mod 1 right away, very quickly. USA getting this started with Decate and Lugia and Taquito, double hidden and a nomad on Lugia against Spectre, MX 10007, and Amamiya Kokoro. Also double hidden. Spectre, who did not play a single map last week, coming in for map number 1 here as we start off with speed, which is his specific skill set on this team.
Yeah, definitely getting banned out last week with the speed picks being avoided pretty much. But Spectre has generally been a pretty big star of the South Korean roster and OWC on their speed maps. I expect big things out of him. What I don't expect is a break from Taquito and Lugia right at the beginning of the map for the United States here. That's a modded FC and a no mod FC gone, and it's just Decate left on the hidden a quarter of the way through the map. This is not a long pick, T1G. This is something that the United States cannot afford to have here and now need to hope for a break from South Korea.
Yeah, and there it is out of MX 10,007. So that's going to be the first miss for the South Korean team. But USA still needs a little bit of help. And they get it from a Kokoro, but it's traded with the Kaiten, which is kind of actually worse off for South Korea. There goes Spectre, and now it is Lugia and Takedo who are going to bring this advantage back over the United States as we hit the halfway mark. One thing to note as we get a little slowdown here, this pool is considerably harder than last week, right? Last week we were just expecting FCs all over the place and really, really high scores, like 750k plus all over. This week the pool is, I think, a fair bit more difficult. So going to see some more breaks, I think. Going to see some slightly lower scores. And the skill caps of the teams and the players on them are going to be called into question a little bit more. And the United States is going to go into the last quarter with about 150, 200k lead.
I think it's exactly what you expect from the United States on their opening pick here, regardless of what happens. You know, both of these teams, I think, are going to go in strong and swinging in this match. Of course, you got Lugia, who is pretty much on this team for their ability to play these speed and stamina style maps. They're doing exactly what they need to be doing on Nomad right now. And of course, you have Takedo on Hidden, who you expect at this point to play at this level. Just an extremely proficient aim and tapping based player with this modification. Kaiten providing a decent backing combo as well. And South Korea really just not able to match up to these scores on any player here. Really, you know, Spectre putting up the highest score, barely going to put up 500k here. Are all three United States players putting up close to 600k and up. Looking good on their first pick at 2.1 million to only 1.3 million. Takedo with that one slider pick.
Yep, just team performance from the United States, far better than South Korea on that pick. As you said, it's what you would hope for and what you'd expect out of a first pick from a team as strong as the United States. But that exhausts the speed in the pool. I mean, there is Nomad 2, obviously, but that is not nearly so high BPM. It's not nearly so demanding. A lot of flow aim in that one more so than anything else. And so United States isn't going to just be able to rely on speed to get their way through this match. They're going to be able to rely on speed for that 1 point to start things off, but the rest of the way forward, it's going to be looking a little different just because there aren't those high BPM raw tapping maps so much left in the pool. And now South Korea is going to give us a chance to see what they're made of as they're going to go into their first pick, which I've got to think is going to be on something a little bit gimmicky, a little bit worse HR, E, and something completely different than what we just saw.
I 100% agree with you. I think they're looking for something like Nomad 4, maybe with the consistency, or even if they want to go slightly more difficult, something like that Hidden 2, where you can really go off the back of one good combo on that map, because most players are going to find that quite difficult. I do think that's more contested, however, than maybe Hidden 1 or Hard Rock 1 and 2, just because of a player like Takedo being so good at that tech hidden skill set that Hidden 2 starts to become contested. But again, the United States, they're just going to keep going in for the mechanics this week. They're going to look for stuff like Nomad 2, and you know, potentially even something like Imagination on Free Mod 3, anything that's just the base mechanics, especially with players like Boshi Man existing on this roster, who we know can probably play that with easy. So you're looking at that. But it is the Nomad 4. South Korea is going to go for that consistency tech slot here. Pretty difficult map, actually, despite calling it consistency. It's consistently hard.
Yeah, as befits, I think, like a mere Camellia map, you know it's going to be a very difficult in terms of both kind of the tapping, the tech tapping aspects of it, as well as the slider aim. And this jumps straight into what we expected from South Korea, which is something that worst HR player will be able to come in for and likely put up a really, really impressive score. Looks like he's going to be joined by Amamiya Kokoro and Alagrisimo, which kind of felt like South Korea's main roster for non-mechanics maps, so the more gimmick skill sets, the tech and the, you know, low AR, etc., etc. And the question for me is, worst HR player aside, will the other players for South Korea be able to stand up to the other players for the United States? Because the United States will typically have a player who can, if not match worst HR player, at least come close. You know, whether it's Takedo or Boshi or Kaiten, whoever it may be for that particular map. Fire Rage even has been very good at tech in the past. But they'll also have a couple of players who will probably be very good at stuff just because of the depth of this team. And so I'm very curious to see whether that depth is enough to outperform a South Korea who have so far the tournament MVP on their team in worst HR player, who's going to be top scoring a lot of the maps that he is a specialist of.
Put Allegrisimo back in.
All right, listen, this isn't Total UC Grand Finals.
All right, I had to give it a whirl early on in the match. I agree. You know, the United States, they're running with a roster right now which is one of their more experienced rosters. I think going up against a team like South Korea, you have someone like Worst HR Player and you have this great backing score. But, you are picking these maps at the potential expense of having the United States having in some of their more experienced roster. And it looks like South Korea might escape with a little bit more leeway than usual today, not having Fiery Rage as comfortable for the United States this evening. They are still going to remain with players like Trail Mix and Taquito, who I think we generally think of as great options for this skill set, and Decaton, who is really good at some of these aim control styled maps. I don't necessarily think of Decaton as a tech player, but I think, mechanics and aim control, it all meshes together in this higher star rating tech style maps where Mir definitely likes to take kind of a middle ground compared to some of the other tech that we like to see, which is all just slider aim all over the place.
Did somebody say Halgo? Did somebody say Halgo?
Yeah. Did someone say where's my Neil Perry map when you need it?
Oh man, it's stuck in 2018 where they belong.
Oh, thank goodness.
But yeah, and
Worst HR Player already cursor dancing.
He already broke as well. We're like 300 plus combo, and he does have at least one miss in the early part of this. There's
a lot of 2 breaks on each team.
there's been a couple misses. This has like a fair amount of tapping requirement to it. Despite being like the 174 BPM, I feel like the tapping is actually kind of challenging. And there's Worst HR Player breaking again. Not warm question?
He's getting buzz slidered, maybe? Is he getting slidered? Is that what's happening?
I don't know. This is not a map that I would expect him to have any trouble with, but he is struggling in the early goings. The United States does have a little bit of a lead to start things off.
He is human.
This map is just pretty difficult, though, just in general, right? Like, there's very little easy about this pick.
I agree. Amamiya Kokoro really holding things down for South Korea right now. The only one trying to combat Taquito's FC. There goes another break from Trail Mix, which is going to give Worst HR Player an opportunity to start to make up this difference, but losing that last FC on South Korea from Amamiya Kokoro. And there goes Taquito. So there's both FCs gone, and that's going to hurt the United States with just Decaton remaining halfway through the map right now. If Allegrisimo is able to hold this combo and Worst HR Player is able to recover from that poor starting performance, South Korea is going to start to gain a major lead in the second half. But this is where the hard part comes. And this is where Worst HR Player is going to have to show off that skill cap. Only slider breaks for the U.S. Only slider breaks.
Oh, God. They have no actual misses. Yeah, this is, the last quarter of this map, things are just going to explode. And if Allegrisimo can keep up this combo, he's in a position to carry South Korea back into this if Worst HR Player can hold, but he can't. And there goes Allegrisimo as well. They may have just lost the map right there. If Decaton can hold just a little bit longer, you talked about him having the high skill cap. He does miss, so does Trail Mix, but it's a full reset for South Korea. Taquito at 350 combo. That might have just done it. And look at Taquito's accuracy, by the way. 99 AC on this is just demon stuff. Finally does break, but I think he got the USA to a pretty solid point, up by 70,000.
He's looking good on this. And again, we talked about it, the United States, if you're South Korea, you're picking into this roster solely based off of how Worst HR Player is playing. And against the United States with an experienced tech player like Taquito, who we know can put up these repeat performances, it's really dangerous as an opening pick. And right now, Worst HR Player is really just trying to pick up the pieces of this map at the ending. Decaton's going to find a break, but I think it's far too little too late. There's not enough note density at the ending here. And Worst HR Player not delivering on the opening pick that South Korea needed. I think they were potentially basing too much of their picking strategy on him performing well in these picks, and it simply did not pay off. And that is an extremely early breakpoint for the United States in a match where South Korea cannot afford missteps like that.
Yeah, that is absolute worst case scenario for South Korea, as we see United States closing out 2 S ranks from Decaton and Taquito. You cannot get away with losing early picks when you have a team like South Korea does here. But they had 3 very consistent scores, but you have to assume the expected Worst HR Player was going to put up, something like a 550, 600K, and if he had, they would have very likely won the point. But instead, it was Decaton putting up that score for the United States. Early break point, a lot of maps left to go to pick from for the United States, and they could be up 3-0 in the blink of an eye here if they can capitalize on their next selection. Big question is, what would this be?
This has got to be mechanics from the US. Yep, and there it
go.
is, instantly. So it's an interesting mechanics pick, though. Going into this no mod 2, this is an extremely uncertain no mod 2, I would call it. This map is fairly consistent at the beginning for a no mod 2. It kind of, maintains the spacing evenly. You get into the middle to ending of this no mod 2, and the spacing of these streams goes to freaking Narnia. It is everywhere it is like literally 2 full notes of spacing in between some of these notes, and consistently at 200 BPM for a fairly extended period of time. So your consistency in being able to maintain your flow aim without losing control for this length of time with this difficulty of streams is something that not every player has. And fortunately for the United States, it's kind of the reason that players like Decaton and Lugia are on this team, is to play maps like this. This is why they're here. And Taquito is just a fantastic +1 for that duo on this map. Going up against Spectre, who's a great, consistent mechanics player, and Amamiya Kokoro, who I believe is probably the best No Mod 2 player on the South Korean roster on a good day. You got to bank on that worst HR player play for that third slot right now. If you're South Korea, you have to hope that worst HR player finds a better set of, a better score line on this pick than the previous one. Otherwise, you're missing one of your best players today, potentially, if he's underperforming. And that's, kind of potentially a deal breaker for South Korea. But, we're only 2 picks in. We have yet to see it. But so far, what I've seen is the United States just performing better on the picks that they need to.
Yeah, I think if I'm South Korea going into this map, I'm thinking of a couple things. First of all, this is like an aim map, because look at the spacing. Like, this is so much more about your flow aim than it is about your tapping, because the streams just aren't incredibly long. And there goes Lugia, the first break of the map, so that's going to give the early advantage to South Korea. The second part I'm thinking about on this is, I don't know that I'm concerned with immediately getting this breakpoint right here. It would be nice to do, obviously, but while you're still in this domain of tapping focused mechanics maps, I don't think you're saying immediately concern yourself with the breakpoint back. Just concern yourself with putting up the best score you can and let what happens happen. Let the chips fall where they may. If you win the point, great. If you don't, okay, there's still enough points left in a best of 13 that you're not out of it with 1 break point down. Just put forth your best effort. You know what I mean? Like, the pressure isn't incredibly high quite as of yet. This is still a United States favored map in all likelihood. And there's the break from Spectre, so it is 1 miss per team. The United States should be able to pull the lead back over.
It breaks on one of those streams that kind of accelerates and then decelerates immediately after, and there's a few of those, and there goes Decaton missing as well. Definitely not the player that we would have expected to see a break on this map for. That is definitely, Decaton is one of the ones that you expect a big FC out of. So you saw worst HR player underperforming on his own skill set on the previous pick, and now you've got Decaton for the United States potentially not having a good time, as well as Lugia, who is not having a good time with these misses. It's just Taquito holding the fort down with, mind you, never mind, not anymore. And there goes worst HR player too. It's a full reset. It's just Spectre holding for South Korea, and this is going to favor them extremely heavily now.
Yeah, this is going every sort of way. Nobody able to hold a combo down through that middle third. Spectre, though, doing his job as this tapping specialist for South Korea. He's got them to a 150,000 point lead headed into the last quarter. It's going to take a near miracle for the United States to pull a comeback off on this one with this kind of deficit and with the combo standing where they are. And that might be the miracle they need. The Amamiya Kokoro and Spectre both breaking, but it's traded by Taquito and Lugia. That, I think, just does it.
I think that does it. I think it's a break point immediately back to South Korea on this one. South Korea holding it into the ending on the back of Spectre trying to put up an efficient ending, as well as Amamiya Kokoro. Decaton trying to recover from that early break.
Chillier, you know what this reminds me of?
You remember before?
You remember? No. You remember the last time that South Korea played United States on a Nomad 2?
Oh,
you remember the last time South Korea played United States on a Nomad 2? OWC Grand Finals? And they won it in the bracket reset match?
Well,
I remember.
They're a Nomad 2 team.
I guess South Korea just Nomad 2 country, whether it's OWC or 3WC.
Yeah,
And
no mod too. Big
yeah,
map.
they just turned up. 562K, 500K, some very good scores from South Korea on that one. That break point is right back just like that. Like nothing to it. And South Korea
That's what you get.
South Korea now can tie it up. Question is, what do they go for? I think it's hidden 2. If it's me, it's hidden 2, but it's not me, fortunately. I wouldn't want to be in this situation. But
No,
I think it might be
wouldn't.
hidden 2.
I think hidden 2 would be great for them. I think it's a good potential that, they have good hidden players across this roster. I think getting someone like Nope KJK in for some maps would be a good option for South Korea today as well. So looking for maybe a slot that they're more comfortable with on the side of, sticking away from some of the just pure consistency mechanics that the United States is so good at. And, going for stuff like this No Mod 2 was really good for them, that the United States wanted to pick into maps like this because it provides, again, that uncertainty there. This is not just your base skill cap mechanics tapping No Mod 2s that are existing in this tournament this year. This is not OWC No Mod 2s. This is 3-digit World Cup No Mod 2s, and they do not cater towards your stamina mechanics players. They cater towards your aim mechanics players. And South Korea, fortunately, has a significantly higher concentration of those aim mechanics players than the tapping ones.
In a world where Karcher isn't in your rank range and Zason isn't in your rank range, you kind of stray away from those tapping maps if you're South Korea. So, we await their pick. I do think though, like it.
Maybe Flamenco.
Yeah. Hey, look, hidden 2. Hey, wow.
There it is. Look at that.
My surprise is 0. In fact,
0. But I need Nope KJK to exist for this pick. I need it to happen.
Does Nope KJK play hidden tech stuff though? I mean, obviously would be in for like a hidden 3, but it was
surely he does if I conjure him right now. All right, maybe not.
I'm not sure. I mean, it's worst HR player probably Amamiya Kokoro. I don't know who the third is necessarily. USA. I mean, Takedo. Hey, there is no
Trail Fiery in a perfect world.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know how I feel about Bashi.
Bashi does the techie stuff over Trail.
Also, shout outs to top diff of this set in Hippo Cup Grands. That was pretty banger.
Obnoxious map.
Shout outs to top diff of this map where what happened in that? Kriller had a really nuts score with hidden. Worst HR player had a nuts score. I think Malachevsky had a good score on it too.
This is big.
Lower diff, but still quite difficult. The like drops, the base drops in this are just unreal. Those like triple kick slider jump things. Yeah.
Is Spectre really staying in for this? Wow.
This does not feel like a Spectre map to me.
Is it like just for the 1/6 burst?
I don't know.
This is dangerous for South Korea. I don't know.
I mean, here's the thing, right? Like every pick in this match is dangerous. I feel like the only pick that maybe wasn't dangerous was literally like United States first picking Free Mod 1, where it was over at about 1/3 of the way in after South Korea broke. After that, there's very few maps in this pool that feel really heavily favored to one team or the other.
I say this is dangerous, I think, purely for the sake of, like, I think worst HR player and Takedo can match each other. And I would say that I know the South Korean roster players at least decently well, and Spectre and Amamiya Kokoro do not play hidden quite as much as someone like Trail Mix does, which already hits me with, like, it's 2 really good potential scores versus 1 that's guaranteed, and there it is.
Both break.
Yup, that's what I'm saying, man. And, Decaton's not really a hidden player, but he is still a very good player. But it's Trail and Takedo, and that's exactly what you're worried about if you're South Korea.
Yeah, this is like a scary level of Takedo map. And there goes worst HR player. Takedo and Trail Mix still holding while there is nothing left on South Korea. Takedo, the FC, finally breaks. That was a nuts combo. Amamiya Kokoro, by the way, has not broken since the early miss, so is in a position to bring this one back. But it's an 80,000 point lead for the USA. Again, South Korea putting themselves on the back foot pretty quickly on this map. And it's another really short one, right? It's like under 2 minutes long. But man, Amamiya Kokoro, what is this combo? Holding through where nobody else can. I mean, South Korea has a lot of combo though, right? They have a 300 combo, 275 combo behind Amamiya Kokoro.
You can't break there.
Oh man.
He's got to hold to the next hard part.
Yeah, you can't break between the hard parts. Like, that's actually, like, the rule of this map. And he just broke again there. That's really dangerous. But there goes Takedo and Peyton.
Amamiya Kokoro. Oh, my God, he's going.
Oh, my. Dude, he and
He's
Worst HR
going
player,
in!
the duo.
He's going in!
Amamiya, Kokoro, and Worst HR player are actually
Oh my
going
God.
into the last Ki, and there's no combo for United States. Finally, Amamiya Kokoro breaks, but Worst HR player doing what he does best. Here he is, showing up really for the first time this match.
There it is. This is what they needed. Here he comes. The train has started rolling.
Oh boy! All right,
United States, watch out!
yeah,
So excited.
That's a 694K from Worst HR player with one miss in the first base drop. This is a little bit scary going forward if that's the sort of thing that he's going to be capable of on some of these maps, because that score is very, very good.
Oh, Taquito with 8 100s on that map. Now that is quite
Too bad
impressive.
about the 450s and
Yeah,
8 misses.
I swear I think 6 of those were on that really beginning linear stream where he just over-aimed the heck out of it.
That linear stream is so hard.
Quite a difficult stream if you over-aim. It's the big, it's that note lock moment. You just chain miss the entire thing. But I don't know if you could hear the excitement in my voice at the ending of that pick, but Worst HR player is here, everybody. That is like the wake-up call for South Korea, that Worst HR player is potentially kind of ready and raring to go. That pick looked dangerous at the beginning and kind of almost called it with the Taquito and Trail Mix performance there, just being a better duo at the beginning. But Amamiya Kokoro coming in clutch, holding that down for South Korea to keep their own pick on the board. So they consolidate a break point, and this match goes right back to even as fast as it went down.
Yeah, this was always kind of going to be the way that this match felt like it could go. With these maps being kind of trending, I guess I should say, heavily toward techie, gimmicky types of picks in a lot of cases, it just feels like a very volatile match. Very back and forth on a lot of these picks. There's a lot of potential for the things to, let's just say, change up rapidly from 2-0 to 2. You never know.
It's the map.
We're getting the DT4.
It's the banger. Let's go.
We're getting the DT4.
I love you guys for picking this. Let's go.
This map is so sick.
For those of you that are unaware, before this map existed in the ranked set with Luminescental, this was a standalone difficulty that Jazang made for a few other tournaments and has been used, I would say, up until tournaments about 2 years ago now. And it was a fan favorite, I think, for absolutely every player that ever touched this map. And it's back, and it's got a leaderboard. And I am so extremely excited to see these players just absolutely tear this map up. Do I think this is as difficult as some other maps in the pools? No. I think that this map, has the most potential for someone to put up an FC on because of the nature of how dense some of these snaps are in between here. But you never know, someone could mess up the finger control who's normally really good at this sort of thing because of nerves in, this type of caliber of match. But I see 6 players in this match right now that are demonic on this skill set. I'm ready to go.
This is terrifying levels of player potential on a pick like this. I just want to get into the map and see what happens, because this is very, very short, right? It's a minute 33. So, some blinking you'll miss it kind of territory here for sure. And man, I am excited. We've got Taquito Trail, we've got Worst HR player on Kokoro and Aragaishi, and away we go, just like that. Who is it gonna be to pull out an FC? Because I know we've got to see at least one. It's not to be South Korea. Oh, they got buzz slidered. They got buzz slidered in the first 100 combo.
Ooh, Alagrisimo.
And big advantage USA. Triple FC remaining against only the FC of Worst HR player on the South Korea side. There goes Trail, though.
Not the player I would have expected. All right, here comes the kind of the meat and cheese of the map here. The first Ki is where it starts to really pick up, and this Ki is actually repeated in the second half of the map in a more difficult fashion. So if you can't hit this finger control, you're not going to hit the second Ki, and unfortunately, Amamiya Kokoro is going to succumb to the first Ki. Taquito and Taketon are not going to. It's Worst HR player versus the world right now. Alagrisimo attempting to recovery from that early break. And he drops it again. And the United States just looking a little bit stronger on their own pick once again.
Yep. They kind of shaking off, I suppose, those 2 maps in a row they lost, and they're running away with this one with a double FC and a big back and combo. Travis, the worst HR player, though, keeping some pretty solid accuracy up to the last section of the map here. Finally does break the end, though, and it looks like we could get 1 FC out of Decatur. That's all that is left, but this has been a foregone conclusion for some time. USA 600K in the lead, and they're going to nudge themselves right back out in front, and Decatur's going to get the full combo, so we do get 1. It is Decatur. It is a 97 AC FC at that, which is quite good.
Well done to Decatur. Quite a nice score to put off in tournaments. This map gets exponentially harder to get accuracy on with Score V2 because of that, kind of slider start and end requirement on here. So it's good to see 97% AC on here. Taquito almost putting up 98% as well. And Trail Mix ending up with essentially that halfway kind of combo you see from people who generally break in the middle of the map at that 564. So South Korea really just kind of missing that second player that they needed on that pick. Hidden 2, they at least had a Mamiya Kokoro to kind of go alongside worst HR player there, and unfortunately on the DT4 they really didn't have someone going with worst HR player to match that FC, and worst HR player really did need to match Decatur on that map. So just a better overall roster for that pick for the United States. They knew exactly what they were getting into when they were jumping into that pick, and South Korea simply was unable to respond to what they had to put down. And now they're going to try and keep it even.
Yeah, and that was kind of the thought process, right? We were talking about a little bit earlier on in the match was, will South Korea at all times have the depth of roster that the United States does? And, a Nomad 2, where they got that break point, the answer was yes. Then on the DT4, the answer was no. And we are unsurprisingly, on the South Korean side, going to go into a free mod 3 pick next up. I don't think anybody's too surprised to see this. It's a CS 5.3 Air 8 KT G-Ster map. So you know that the team that has been picking Gimmick is likely to pick it, and away into that selection they will go. We're going to get some Note KJK action, quite possibly.
Oh, we're going to see a double easy.
Hidden.
We're going to see double easy on this map, I guarantee it.
We can see some easy. I would like to see some easy. What's the easy multiplier?
1.75, I believe. Okay. 1.75. And I know for a fact that everyone who takes easy on this map probably can FC this map with easy. So we're looking at kind of a little bit of a high risk, high reward scenario here for the players that go easy. I think if they put up the expected performances, we're not really going to see too much to worry about here, but the second you lose one of those easy FCs, they potentially throw the map away then and there. So you've got to have people who take easy on this map that are 100% confident that they can put up the scores that they have down on the practice sheet generally. But I would be not surprised to see Boshi Man taking easy on this map for the United States. I would not be surprised to see either Fiery Rage or Decatur take the Hard Rock and then Fiery on the Hard Rock or Hidden, and I don't even know what South Korea is going to do. I feel like we could see an easy out of Nope KJK. If not, definitely the Hidden.
Well, it sounds like we're going to get a fair amount of easy.
K said, wait, no way. Oh, it's over.
All right, so we're seeing 5
6-way
easies.
easy?
We're seeing 5 easies in an HR. We're seeing 5 easies in an HR. 100%.
1,
yep,
2,
yep,
3, 4, 5.
5 easies in a Hard Rock.
I love it.
Never before seen mod combinations. The absolute scenes here at 1:30 in the morning at 3WC. It is immaculate vibe territory here. So South Korea, I don't even know how we're supposed to figure out who's winning, to be honest. Because
if they 6-way FC this, they lose.
You mean 3-way?
That hard. If they
if everybody FCs, USA
South
wins.
Korea loses. Yeah, Decatur could win.
HR, yeah. But this map
what are
is
the
not going
chances
to
you
be
FC
easy.
this with Hard Rock?
Yeah, this map is not going to be easy with Hard Rock by any means. I mean, that's CS, what, like 6.8 or something? 6.
It's small.
9?
It's quite small. Yeah, 6.9. Yeah,
it's tiny circles. There you go.
There it is.
All right, so South Korea And in the lead, or at least will be soon.
100% in the lead. 3-way FC to 2-way FC.
Yeah, they have a double SS.
Oh, they do. Jeez, wow.
Yeah.
Good
I mean, it's
morning.
easy. So it's easy. So it's like OD3 or whatever. But still, that is pretty crazy. There goes Decayton again. The Hard Rock Gambit not working out for the United States might have been better to have a third easy player apparently.
Or
which are not
Taquito
words that I
hidden,
ever
maybe?
expected. Not words that I ever expected to say. And there goes Fire. Okay, so South Korea is probably going to win this. We're halfway through, and they're in the lead, you know, without taking multipliers or anything into account, like, already by a considerable margin. This is just demon stuff. They have 1-100 between the three players currently.
There's 3 SSs right now.
Yeah.
That's insane. These players are just so good at easy. Comes the last slider section right here of the map. Stuff could change at the ending here. We could see some breaks from people. It's pretty...
South Korea is just stupid. They're so good at reading, man. They're so good at easy. This is not right. We're actually gonna see we're just gonna see a double something. I'm not gonna say it, but
we could see a double something and a triple something. It could
go.
be like just it. This is the ending
right,
pattern.
so-
No Bashi.
So the question. No KJK.
No KJK.
All right. Well, they still have. Oh, I'm gonna be a Kokoro shake. Double assist. He did it. He did it.
Let's go.
With that shake, he still did it, and it's a double SS for South Korea. He
That
did it
is-
with that shake. How did he hit that last stream with those shakes, dude?
Oh.
No way.
I love that. I actually
oh my
love
god,
that.
no way he just did that.
I'm actually just so impressed.
Oh my god. I was just watching the Amamiya Kokoro shake, like some of the worst shakes I've ever seen in my life, and he held. Oh my god,
Amamiya
dude.
Kokoro, my hero, my knight in shining armor.
Oh man.
Oh, what an
South
impressive
Korea.
performance.
That's so wild. Yeah, you see Worst Stage Chart player just casually like cool, calm, and collected, and you see Amamiya Kokoro looking like there's a freaking like
like an
9.8 on the Richter scale earthquake going on. Like stuff's just like buildings are collapsing around him, and he's somehow still holding, and nobody knows how. Oh my god.
I love that. I love to see that. Finally, a map favoring easy.
Also, that being said, please change the free mod rule for future iterations of this tournament.
It would definitely help a little bit.
That was cool, but that sort of thing shouldn't happen. But it was cool, so you take rule of cool into effect here.
Yeah, pretty much. Like South Korea won that purely on the basis that they had 3 easy players, and the United States simply did not.
Yep.
Oh, it's Hard Rock 3 signals. All right, let's go United States with the banger pick coming out.
So they
Quite an interesting pick, though.
They lost the flow aim nomad too, and now they're going into a kind of somewhat flowy precision aim map.
Nah. Taquito will double S this map. All right, probably not, but
Taquito 6.5.
Taquito CS 6.5. Now, I imagine it's Bashi, Trail Mix, Fiery Rage on this map, or Decayton.
So.
Decayton instead of Trail Mix potentially, because Decayton is quite a good CS 6.5 player, but he might be questioning himself after the performance on the free mod map. Looks like not. Looks like they're going to keep it nice and even for them here. Decayton has been a fantastic player for them in this match so far. He looked pretty good on that no mod 2, almost bringing it back at the ending, and he did look extremely confident on the DT4, so he's clearly ready for aim control, which this map does have some of. It's just kind of, in different form of high spacing instead of density spacing here. And, South Korea, they're really riding on Worst HR player and Amamiya Kokoro today. And Amamiya Kokoro and Worst HR player probably still a little bit nervous from that double S performance on the free mod. So you do have to be a little concerned for South Korea on a CS 6.5 pick and potentially letting the nerves get the best of them, especially Amamiya Kokoro, who clearly was not able to manage them as well as Worst HR player.
Yeah, this is like a circle size difference of like 4.5, or something, right? I don't know easy, so I don't know what CS 5 point whatever that is with easy is. Wait, CS 5.3 with easy. I don't know what that comes out to, but they're going from whatever that is to 6.5 back to back, and you're already just shaking like mad. Yeah, little concerned for how this goes for Amamiya Kokoro, but if they can settle down and just kind of ride the high instead of being overwhelmed by it, this could be a place for South Korea to maybe try to claim a little bit of momentum. But at the same time, I think USA just has a really, really scary precision roster with Bocce, Fiery, and then Decaton on top of it. So
They do. This is a worst HR player-able map. This is actually the type of map that will get no FCs, and then worst HR player could actually pop off on this, given his current track record. Something to note is that Boshiman actually put up one of the very few Hard Rock FCs on this map the other day, so he is clearly capable of putting up some type of FC or FC close performance in this match here.
FC adjacent.
Yeah, FC adjacent. It runs parallel to an FC, whatever the performance is going to be. But we're going to see how this map goes right about now in this section. Yeah,
I love when that drop hits and you get into that spaced up and down, and there go Allegrismo and Bashi right there. Yeah, you knew whenever that happens, that V-shaped stream, you know something is about to occur. And actually, all six players
shake.
And there goes Amamiya Kokoro Fire, and Hayden all break.
It's a worst HR player map. I knew it.
It's worst HR player time. He could do it. Okay. It is simply never not worst HR player time. This guy is so disgustingly good.
Earlier today.
It was not worst. Okay, it was not worst HR player time for like one map, and ever since then it has been worst HR player time, and he is just running at full speed.
He needs his teammates to pick up the pace, though.
Yeah. Allegrismo does have a solid combo. He is at 375, which is matching Boshiman, which is the highest, which is the highest combo in the United States. But Amamiya Kokoro needs to stabilize a little bit in the event that Decaton and Fiery start comboing. But there goes Bashi. This is just South Korea. They're up by almost 50. But there goes Bashi. Okay. But Decaton breaks too.
Allegrismo, my hero.
They put Allegrismo back in.
They put Allegrismo in. Oh my, never mind. It's Fiery Rage time. It is the Hard Rock.
Nope.
No, it's not.
It's nobody time. Everybody's gone. It's just South Korea. They're just gonna. Yeah, this is uncomebackable at this point. It's 150K, and there's no combo on the United States side. We're gonna see another break point. We're gonna put another point on the board for South Korea. What did I say? They're gonna ride that high from winning the Fremont 3 with the double SS with easy, and they're gonna say we're gonna keep this going. We're gonna keep this train running. We're gonna take the 4-3 lead into our own pick.
Wow, from worst HR player there. The United States, they had so many confident performers on this map, and unfortunately, whether it be, nerves or potentially fatigue from this later match, just not quite able to put up a performance that matched up with worst HR player here. 650,000. It looks like it could have almost been Fiery Rage. One miss, one slider break, and you've got, again, players like Boshiman who have FCs on this, or even Decaton who in the past have put up good performances on this, just none of them being able to quite hit the mark this time around, and it's going to allow South Korea a little bit of leeway going into the second half of this match, what has officially been reached now with that 4-point lead. Now, we are running out of picks, however, that South Korea is potentially guaranteed, or rather more likely to win against the United States. You can start to see we're starting to whittle it down. Nomad 1, Hidden 1, Hard Rock 1, DT 1, all still open, and we spent the entire beginning of this match talking about how the United States was simply stronger at mechanics than South Korea, and that could potentially be their gambit. They could potentially be waiting for later in this match in order to pick a lot of these base mechanics maps and a lot of these aim-styled picks here, and it could give them a lot of momentum at the ending of this match if South Korea is unable to capitalize on this. I think the remainder of this match is 100% riding on whether or not South Korea is able to consolidate the break point here. Otherwise, the United States, they only need 4 points to win, and they've got 4 mechanics maps plus open in this match left over. So South Korea's got to try and grab something like Nomad 3 or Hard Rock 2 now, and they're going to go for the Hard Rock 2.
Yep. I like the Hard Rock 2 pick here. It's on the back of winning Hard Rock 3, right? Just stay in the same pool, but don't go to the more raw mechanic pick in that pool. Go to the
worst HR player?
The diff name is Brain Damage, so you know it's gonna get kind of weird.
Worst HR player sight reading. Oh no.
He'll be fine. I'm not.
This is
I'm
not a
concerned.
sight readable map.
Yeah,
this is...
I would not run a sight read. The rhythm of this map is so peculiar. I would by no means want to be sight reading it. Not sure what's happening here with the map on the if there's something wrong with the tournament client. Hopefully we'll be able to get back in shortly. My one thing I was gonna bring up, talking about all the ones still being available. If there's one thing that's been a little bit of an Achilles heel for the United States in international country-based tournaments, I feel like it's been raw aim. Like, they've just not historically been good at stuff like Nomad 1 and Hard Rock 1 relative to their other skill sets. So maybe something that they don't want to just jump into, especially considering last week's Hidden 1, where South Korea had something like a 600, 700K higher score than the United States. So maybe trying to avoid those until they really have to go that direction. Hard to say for sure. We'll find out after this pick, whatever they go to next. But yeah, we're gonna go with Hard Rock 2 as soon as the client sorts itself out here, and we will see if South Korea can pull off a few picks in a row. Be 3 picks in a row, be a 5-3 lead from 3-2 down, and they'd be only 2 points from the grand finals from winner's side. And, you know, remember what happened the last time South Korea played the United States in an international country-based tournament in a winner's bracket?
They did not win.
No, in the winner's bracket.
I guess.
Yeah. Prior to the grand finals.
Finals, yes.
Yeah, when they played in the semis in the winner's bracket as opposed to the grand finals, which I kind of consider their own thing. So, you know, they got a little past winning ability in their favor,
got it in them.
And in we're gonna go. So we appear to have not missed anything. Fortunately, we are missing a player.
They will reach us soon. Yeah,
we've got Bashi, Fiery, Decaden, Worst HR player, Amamiya Kokoro, Alagrisimo? Yes.
Understandable, yes.
I was just guessing who that was going to be, and it is indeed Alagrisimo.
I do not like that South Korea has 2 breaks already, which tells me that my prediction of that no map spam in chat means that they are sight reading. And if, you know, and I have confidence in both of these teams that they're potentially confident on their own picks. If you have 2 people sight reading this Hard Rock 2, I'm like going to be very unapologetically saying you will lose this pick if you have 2 sight reads. I don't care what team you are and how strong you are. If the United States had double sight read, I would say the same thing about them. They would never win this pick. Somehow for South Korea right now, it's actually Amamiya Kokoro, the one is not able to hold combo through this introduction section, which is not super good to see. You really don't like to see 3 breaks immediately from the team who picked this map and are just now starting to see breaks on the opposite team.
Yeah, but, you know, there goes Fiery, and really this lead was not all that huge. It's 50,000 points. I mean, sight reading or not, South Korea managed to, you know, keep this pretty close before the, you know, for long enough for the United States to find a break, and now the combo is basically dead even. And there goes Amamiya Kokoro. The combo is no longer basically dead even. Actually, yes it is, I lied. It's what, 100 maybe total combo in the lead for the United States? Not really that much.
It's on the FCs versus the breaks, yeah.
It's 2 FCs versus 2 players who are like 60 and 80 combo behind FCs, which is just not that big a deal.
I love Bashi Zach right now. It's actually fantastic. It's
this is okay. The thing is that like this is not an ACK map, and what's actually just disgusting is the fact that Decaden is 97 and Alagrisimo breaking is not good.
Yeah, that's actually potentially going to throw this pick away for them.
Yeah, South Korea needs a lot of help now because that's going to drop them pretty far behind. I mean, the United States can take
Bashi misreads. What? Bashi just misread a stack. Yeah, I've never seen that before.
Alagrisimo broke right after. Decaden and Fiery Rage have equal and greater combo than Worst HR player and Amamiya Kokoro. So nothing else really matters except for those players. And unfortunately for South Korea, they're not getting the help they would have needed. And again, like we're saying, if this is indeed a pick of theirs that they're sight reading, that is quite the tactical blunder in this stage of a match where you just went up a break point and potentially could consolidate it. To pick something like this is a mishap of the highest order.
Yeah, this would be very concerning if they actually were sight reading this with no map like they were saying in chat before, because they could potentially have had a much better performance on this right now. And honestly, I think Amami Kokoro could have had a much better performance on this map than he did. He had such a tough time with the beginning of this pick right here, and honestly, it's a lot of the difference in score right now, considering how comfortable he looks at the ending of this. And you know, it's just worse HR player versus Decaton right now, and the United States simply has better supporting combos. Fiery Rage on the 800 combo, and Bashimen held that FC alongside Decaton for about 1,000 combo of this map almost. And we're coming into the ending, and the United States steals a break point right back from South Korea on, I would call it a potential mispick, especially with them just insinuating that they had no maps.
Yep. Not what you want to see there if you're South Korea, but that being said, that Decaton score is incredible. Shout outs to that full combo, best score in the lobby by a fair margin there. And well, Chillier, it's best of 5 now.
Pray for these teams and their nerves.
Yeah, I mean, 3 points away for both sides. 2 picks left for each. The United States has all 4 of the ones available to them here if they do indeed want to go that aim mechanics route. South Korea, as you were discussing before this previous pick, starting to look like slim pickings in this map pool. They've got kind of a Nomad 3, but the United States is a very good Nomad 3 team. So South Korea is going to have a lot of thinking to do, I feel, with whatever their next pick ends up being. The United States, though, first, I think you probably just say DT1 because the speed feels pretty heavily favored to USA, and that's a very high BPM double time 1 pick.
Yeah, this is an extremely fast DT1 pick, and it almost forces most players who would usually single tap DT to either be extremely warm or to alternate through the pick, at least speaking as someone who would normally single tap DT maps, and they're going to go for it. They're really feeling good on the speed right now. Maybe they've just been getting Lugia warming up on the speed this entire time, and you've had Taquito taking the last couple of picks off as well, potentially ready to go in and just combo through this DT map. South Korea really doesn't have that strong of a speed roster, so regardless of whether or not this DT1 is an AIM map, I mean, you're running with Spectre and Amami Kokoro, I guess Aragaishi mode now too for, maybe some of the mechanics, but it's harder for me to put together a speed DT roster for South Korea than I think it is for me to conceptualize one for the United States. Oh, it looks like Jongwoo Young actually going to be joining the roster here for South Korea. I actually forgot they were here. They haven't played in a while.
Yeah, they played early on in the match, but haven't seen them for quite some time. I think an underrated aspect of this pick is that it is Air 10.5. That is not anything that you can just take lightly. That's like legitimate high AR reading. Maps higher than 10.3. That's some pretty fast stuff. But I am very interested to see what the roster ends up being here for the United States. Trail Mix, the only one in so far. And South Korea has several options to choose from, it appears. As you mentioned, Taquito has been out for a little while, is going to come back in now. And Decaton, mechanics boy for the United States. He's just good at everything, actually, but especially very, very strong in aim and aim control. This is going to be, I think, a battle between these two teams, because while they both have players who are going to be able to play this, I don't feel that anyone is that dude on Air 10.5 DT1s.
I believe in Jongwoo Young and Decaton to FC this map. I think it's possible. I don't know. This map is the type of thing where it's so. I think the BPM and the way that this is mapped makes the 10.5 so much more palatable for a lot of players, given, what you would normally see from a 10.5, because it is that kind of base mechanics DT1 aim. Despite it being higher BPM, I think that makes it more accessible, because you consistently get into this motion of moving back and forth to the jumps, so it ends up being more comfortable than you'd think here, we've seen a couple act drops at the beginning of this, and this is really going to come down to whoever's just got the better, like, kind of one speed player for this. I think we're going to be hard-pressed to see some good accuracy FCs on this map, potentially. And something for the United States that I think they have going for them that people might not expect is the fact that Taquito is really good at high AR, high BPM stuff. It is not normally recognized for it. And South Korea not holding too well at the beginning of the map here.
This is proving a little difficult for the South Korean side. Jungwoo Young coming in, doing his job, but no help, and he does find it. But there's a double break from the United States. Taquito and Lugia both miss, so it leaves only Decayton. He is able to fend off both Ame Kokoro and Alagrismo by himself with their combined combo. They are like, you know, a similar combo to him, but that won't last all that long. He's going to have to hold, and he's going to have to hope that somebody else from his team starts to hold. And also, you know, would always be nice for his sake to see a South Korea player break. But they're not looking too interested in doing that. Alagrismo and Kokoro are looking, I would say, more comfortable with this map as it progresses, which is, I think, kind of the case with maps like this a lot of the time. It might take you a second if you're not perfectly warm for it to really settle into the BPM and the high AR and the high OD requirements. But you got combo. You got combo going up across the board. Everybody doing pretty well in this, you know, third quarter of the map. We're gonna go into the last quarter with a very tightly fought battle, and it's Jungwoo Young with a big break, and Decayton is now a little bit more of an advantage for the United States. But there goes Taquito also. So not out of the woods yet for the United States. It's, you know, it's 200k lead. It's starting to look better, but it's not over yet.
Oh, that might be it, though. Alagrismo finding the break, and there's just nobody to match Decayton. Decayton is dragging the United States through these late-stage picks.
Yeah. This man is putting his team on his back with his raw mechanics skill cap. This is a really impressive performance from a relative newcomer to tournaments. I mean, nobody had heard of him before WC last year, and now he comes in, does great for WC, shows up for this 3WC team, and now he's just putting in work with another massive score.
Man, he looked so good in the OWC Grand Finals, and he was so influential on that team, you know, to winning that tournament. And he's bringing that exact same level of play to this three-digit World Cup Finals when the United States really, really needs it, honestly. They have not had a strong performer, you know, on most other players that I think we normally think of for the United States. You know, we've seen in previous weeks, Fiery Rage has been a massively helpful player for the United States. Of course, we think of players like Taquito as well, who are, you know, often considered one of the best tournament players within the United States as a whole. And it's Decayton to step up in this match exactly when he needed to, you know, in this later time match, maybe just the better performer when, you know, everyone else is getting maybe a little bit tired, being able to maintain that consistency and stay awake better. And that could just be the extent of it. But he's making it work when he needs to, and the United States is now going to take a 1-point lead on South Korea and bring this match back exactly where they need it to be. So South Korea has found a break point, they let it go. The United States has found a break point, and they let it go, and this match just continues to find itself back at even, at potentially the expense of South Korea starting to run out of picks here at the ending. I think a good point to note for them is that we're pretty much out of speed maps in this pool now, which is South Korea's #1 weakness against the United States. So, you know, we're kind of bringing the status quo down to even level for both of these teams here, and it's really going to come down to, does Decayton show up more, or does Worst HR player start to hit his groove?
And what concerns me there, for South Korea's sake, is the maps that are left are much more Decayton maps than they are Worst HR player maps. You've got 3 1s, you've got Nomad 3, and you've got this Free Mod 2, which South Korea just picked, which is kind of analogous to the Nomad 3, right? Like, you're kind of in that high BPM alt skill set area. And that's stuff where, like, yes, Worst HR player is good, and South Korea is solid, but not overwhelmingly so, like they would be on some of the other maps that suit them maybe just a little better, like, say, the Free Mod 3 or the Hidden 2, maps that really come right into South Korea's wheelhouse. With what's left in the pool, if you're considering the two players we're thinking of as kind of the two big carries of this match, which are Worst HR player and Decayton, I would say it's advantage Decayton with the remaining picks.
It's all mechanics.
But now we get Decayed the rest. But now we get Decayed the rest of the way through, right? Like we're getting Worst HR player the rest of the way through. Like the maps that these guys are not in for are gone. Or it's actually Decaden's been in for every map, but the maps that Worst HR player wasn't in for are gone.
Well, got a South Korea pick on Aragaishi syndrome, which is definitely something that would be calling most people towards that our Worst HR player position here on your screen. We've got Nope KJK back in. He was a part of that three-way easy run on the Free Mod 3 earlier and really hasn't played much else in this match. He did find the only break on the South Korean roster for that map, so you're really looking at Worst HR player and Amamiya Kokoro to maybe replicate their performances from earlier, being those two to kind of bring this team forward. And Nope KJK, generally quite a proficient alternating player, going to hopefully be able to back the two of them up. But you've got the United States for Taquito, who I believe has #1 on the top difficulty of this map. And Fiery Rage, who is just a great alt player, and Trail Mix. He's going to be bringing up that hidden hard rock to try and get the modifications in here, but that is a tough mod combo.
I was not expecting an HDHR on this. I was more expecting what South Korea did to be kind of the standard and just go double hidden. But Trail Mix, you know, the HDHR player of all time. So if he feels comfortable with it, by all means, let him try it out. And again, you know, it's a South Korea pick, so the United States doesn't need to win this or anything. It's another case where it would be nice, but it's not, you know, life or death scenario for them. But we'll see how it goes. South Korea, the early small advantage. I think that's just accuracy, and even then it's 10k at most.
Trail Mix is going to try and pull a Ramsing United States Cup moment right now with the hidden hard rock, which would be quite impressive to see, might I add. For those of you that are unaware, Trail Mix putting up a hidden hard rock FC on Ramsing in United States Cup a while ago. Nope KJK, again, the one that I was maybe a little bit concerned about on the South Korean roster here. He was just not quite as consistent as Worst HR player Amamiya Kokoro on that Free Mod 3. And he is the only one to find a break at the beginning of Aragaishi syndrome here. It's not the end of the world for South Korea, and he can absolutely recover as Fiery Rage just breaking on air.
Yeah, that was like missing on actually nothing. Hopefully it doesn't affect, you know, sometimes you can miss like that and get really tilted and end up with more misses just because you're like, how the hell did I miss their ARG, you know? I was going to say the concern for Nope KJK was just maybe a slightly lower skill cap than some of the other players on these teams in this lobby. But they are recovering quite well from the miss, so not going to be the end of the world. A little bit of a combo lead for South Korea. Now, there goes Taquito. That's a big combo lead for South Korea. Now, I mean, Kokoro, Worst HR player, still in the UFC. And there he goes. All right, and the score is just going to go zoom straight over to the side of South Korea with the double full combo still intact 2/3 of the way through on remarkable accuracy as well. Worst HR player, only a couple of 100s dropped. Amamiya Kokoro a little farther behind on the hidden, but I mean, accuracy be damned. It's double FC. Who cares what the accuracy is as they take a 300,000 point lead?
Oh my gosh, Worst HR player is simply consuming. Amamiya Kokoro is going to find a slider break, I believe, with the hidden towards the end there. And Fiery Rage going to try and pick up a little bit of combo here at the ending. A great recovery from that break that was unfortunately placed again. Fiery seeming to not be able to catch a break here, really just finding singular misses in the middle of these maps here. Fortunately for him, I don't really think it mattered, as Worst HR player is going to continue consuming the United States into the ending of Free Mod 2 here, and he is simply just going to finish this map out with an FC. Of course he is. And that's a 600,000 score win for South Korea into the ending of the Free Mod 3 with a 3-way S rank for them, and that's going to bring this match back to even. It's now on the United States to force match point. Now, this is where this match really goes here. 1 point each to get tiebreaker, and whoever gets it first, God, I worry for South Korea if the United States wins their pick, and I worry for the United States if South Korea finds a break point.
And you know, this is where the evolution of preference in pick and ban order really comes into play. Because it feels that nowadays teams almost universally would prefer second pick, because it means you're not stuck in the position the United States is right now, where you're trying to pick to go up match point, and if you lose that pick, the other team now has a match point on their own selection. There's so much pressure on this pick. Not that there isn't on the last pick as well, but you get, you know, that little bit of leeway where whatever it is, it's under your control. South Korea will have control of the last pick no matter whether they're up a match point or down a match point. And the way that this match has been going, and with the maps that are left, I would hate to be stuck in either of these teams' shoes. This is, like, just roll a freaking, like, well, you can't roll a 4-sided die, but, like, I guess you can, right?
You could, I guess.
Those exist.
You can just not color in, you know, yeah.
So, you know, just roll 4. Just because, like, what are you supposed to pick out of? No Mod 1, Hidden 1, Hard Rock 1, and this No Mod 3 after you just lost 3 Mod 2.
Yeah, so it's pretty much just aim for the United States. And, you know, I do agree with you. It does put a lot of pressure on the United States to make the right choice here because, you know, them making the right choice on their own pick is, it's the last opportunity they have to pick a map in this match. And if South Korea wins it, they have their own pick after this, which they probably just go for No Mod 3 and get the worst HR player FC again. On the other hand, South Korea, they're under an extreme amount of pressure right now. South Korea is at the mercy of the United States right now. So the pressure is on for them to try and win this pick right now. And then, you know, you almost get into the scenario where it's like you don't expect to win your opponent's pick, but it comes down to, you know, if you do lose the pick, it's still slightly disappointing. You still kind of like sit there and it's like, wow, you know, we could have won this aim map, but we didn't, and now we have to win our own pick. And then they're in the position of being in this really nervous state because then it really is the final pick. Not only is the United States have that one pick of leeway right now, technically, South Korea has to win their pick if the United States get this. So this is just nerves all around for both sides right now. And I'm not really liking that worst HR player message of him not quite feeling it for this Hard Rock 1 map for South Korea right now. It definitely doesn't give me confidence for them against the United States on this map, who are kind of even against South Korea on Hard Rock picks right now.
Yeah, I mean, just the way this match has kind of trended, I almost can't decide how I feel about this pick regardless of what worst HR player might be saying, because, I mean, we saw what happened on Hard Rock 3, right? Like, this doesn't automatically mean anything. Like you said, split the Hard Rock so far. But you go into the side of mechanics that maybe favor United States a little bit with the way the Caton's been playing. And I don't know. This is the point in the match where it feels like the maps are so much less crystallized, right? Like, you can't just look at a map and say one team or the other is immediately favored. There's a lot of aim on this, but there's also quite a bit of flow to it, so there's some tapping requirement as well. And it's a bit smaller circles than you're used to seeing for an HR1, which are typically like base CS4. This one up at CS 5.6, so you're calling into question that little bit of precision just a little tiny bit more. I don't know. This is
the hardest map in the pool. This is the hardest map in the pool. We've seen some tough stuff so far. This map, with the sheer precision requirement at CS 5.6 and how spaced these jumps are, you need to be so on top of your aim right now that I would give this to literally anyone. And right now, oh dear, you know, it doesn't look too good for either team. I was about to say that Caton has really been performing out of his mind on the Hard Rock so far. If he finds one of the early breaks with Jong Woo Young and Trail Mix, he is an invaluable asset to have on your team. I mean, this guy literally mains Hard Rock aim, and apparently it doesn't mean jack shit because he misses. God damn it. All right, well, it's full
South
misses
Korea.
for the United States.
South Korea. Look at the accuracy for South Korea.
Please chill out.
Look at the accuracy from South Korea. We're playing Hard Rock. This is OD 10, by the way, and we're now on, you know, map number 11 of a best of 13 finals of a tournament, and they're doing these things. So, you know, absolutely average types of plays you're seeing here from South Korea. But man, USA falling behind here on their own last pick of this match, and this is why it's a scary spot. But there goes worst HR player, so that's one of those FCs gone, and now that's a lot of pressure on the back of Amami Kokoro, but it's a double reset once again from the United States. It's a double reset from the United States.
Amamiya Kokoro, never
there
mind.
he goes. It's a full reset. Basically a full reset. Worst HR player, the largest combo in the lobby at 150. And that lead is 100,000 points halfway through. Do you think that holds up? I don't know if that holds up.
What's concerning me right now is that Jong Woo-young doesn't seem to be able to find a combo really anywhere on this map right now. And for South Korea, when you're pretty much going 2 for 2 and the United States is starting to put up 3 good combos across the board, it makes me nervous. But there goes Trail Mix. But Jong Woo-young trades it immediately after we are now past halfway point in the map. These players can see this, and the United States now know that it is do or die time. It's 120,000 score in favor of South Korea, which is not a small margin when worst HR player and Amamiya Kokoro are matching the combos from the United States. Really, the difference maker right now could be whether or not Jong Woo-young is able to start to recover some of this lost score, and Trail Mix and Jong Woo-young break, but it's worst HR player. They need a break from the United States to hold this, but the United States, they want this so bad.
There was Bashi. It's the under aim from Bashi. The pressure maybe just getting to him a little bit near the end here. Decaden, who's been the hero the whole way through, is now the only combo in the lobby. He's at 600 combo, and there's nothing on anyone.
He has
640 combo if he holds all the way through to the end. He might be able to pull back, but he doesn't. It's the break, and now South Korea, that was all that they needed with worst HR player on a 270 combo. No. It doesn't matter that everybody broke. It's a full reset across the entire lobby. It's a 100k lead. It's a 100k lead, and South Korea is just going to take the point.
I said he could do it. It's Jong Woo-young into the ending to recover the combo, to match Trail Mix into the ending, and that's the score that they needed to hold it into the finish, and it's the break point.
It's the break point for South Korea. It's going to be a 6-5 lead. It's going to be the finish line in sight. They're going to be one map away from sending the USA down to losers bracket again, just like they did back in WC. Amamiya Kokoro, 99 AC 563k, did exactly what he needed to on that pick. And now South Korea has the selection, and I want to talk about this selection because, my God, this is a little bit of a, well, it's a dice roll here. You've got a Nomad 1, you've got a Hidden 1, you've got a Nomad 3 that's a minute and a half long. You have a TV-sized Nomad 3. If you really want to go coin flip, we've seen it happen in the past with teams in this sort of situation, picking, Hippo Cup vibes come to mind, the 17-second long map to try to force a tiebreaker, try to win a match outright. Do you go that way?
This is going to go to TV. I can just feel it. I can feel it.
I feel like we're being shortchanged if this doesn't go to tiebreaker, but I also feel like South Korea will absolutely deserve it if they can win on this next point because of what they just managed to accomplish on Hard Rock 1.
I don't want it to go to tiebreaker because I don't feel like I can adequately commentate it right now.
I can't. So that's the same thing. This is the same thing that happened to me in OWC because I was commentating that semifinal between the USA and South Korea that went to tiebreaker. And I was like already getting yelled at by people because it was, 1 in the morning and I was being loud. And here we are now at 2:15 in the morning in the same sort of boat. But so
I think South Korea needs Nomad 3 right now. They just need worst HR player to go on ult.
I think it just has to be Nomad 3, and they just have to say we're gonna go TV size, and we're gonna end this right here, right now, real quick, real fast. We're gonna coin flip it, and the coin's gonna come up heads.
It's like the Hippo Cup method. It really is.
Exactly.
It's like pick the 30-second difficulty map and just hope that worst HR player does exactly what his specialty is, and it's hitting the most screwy shit imaginable. But it's Nomad 1. They go for the aim again. They're going for the roll pan map.
Just raw, comfortable 7-star aim.
Oh, this makes me so nervous.
This is the Nomad 1 of all time. It is roll pan, comfortable, wide spacing, big jump Nomad 1. Nothing more and nothing less.
My entire life is flashing before my eyes right now, and I'm not even playing in this match. This is just absolutely, this is every tournament player's, worst nightmare. This is the entire situation that you do not want to be in, and you and I spent the entire time before the previous pick talking about this. The United States has the pressure of winning their own map, and then South Korea has the pressure of winning their own pick afterwards. this is essentially the same scenario. The United States, regardless of whether or not they won or lost their pick and South Korea won or lost the other map, it really was going to be A, the similar skill set, and B, there's 2 maps left no matter what. So you either win one and lose one, you lose both, or you win both. And, one team has to take, it's 3 scenarios. And the United States is essentially just taking the flip side of what we described. South Korea gets the break point, and now United States just needs to pick up the pieces on the AIM map that they, weren't able to quite get with the Hard Rock 1. And I think the Hard Rock 1 is so much more difficult than this Nomad 1. And, you look at the players on the United States, like Trail Mix, who is just a Nomad 1 demon, and Decaton, who has been so consistent today. And you're putting them up against, South Korea, who has pretty much relied on Amamio Kokoro so far for these AIM maps. Worst HR player really hasn't been able to match up the way that we expect him to. And Allegrisimo has kind of just been there to fill in the pieces. So right now, it's pretty much just the classic Nomad 1, do you miss one of the spike jumps? And it could happen on either side right now. It's about who maintains the consistency, and it's not Taquito.
This is like you said, I mean, this is just the stuff that nightmares are made of. There goes Trail Mix as well early on. Could the late night be getting to the United States? Could the pressure of trying to get a break point to force a tiebreaker be getting to the United States? Hard to say, but what you can say is that South Korea now has themselves a handy-dandy little 15,000, 20,000 point lead to play with, getting right into the map. It's like they're just starting off with a little bit of a free advantage by FCing that intro, but it's a Nomad 1. You can literally miss on like 4 patterns legally. Anywhere else is illegal, but there's like 4 places you can miss, and it kind of makes sense. And it's just the coin flip of who on which teams are able to hit those patterns. And so far, it's just been South Korea's. There's another break from Taquito, and you start to get to the point where those misses actually matter. Once you get a quarter of the way in, once you get to that 500-600 combo mark, it starts to matter a little more than it did missing in the first 200 combo.
Yeah, something here that worries me, though, is that even though South Korea is holding this 3-way FC right now, this could go south so quickly as we approach this halfway point of the map coming up after this next refrain section right now. The breaks that come out at that next Ki are going to be the ones that decide this pick right now, because regardless of South Korea holding this triple FC right now, you break halfway through the map, you're automatically capped. Everyone knows this on Score V2. It's a 650,000 score maximum. And right now, Decaton, he's holding the consistency we've seen from him this entire match, and Trail Mix is the Lord of Nomad 1. He's not going to miss in the remainder of this map, so you're really just looking at Taquito to potentially find a miss, based on the beginning of the map, and hoping that South Korea, for their sake, holds the combo through this next Ki, and if they do, are they able to maintain it on 2 players to combat it? And here we go into the next Ki. This will decide the map right now.
Yeah, it's just going to come down to these big jump sections, and there goes Trail Mix. That's yet another miss for the United States, as if they could afford it. Well, they certainly can't now. It's all 3 members of South Korea holding on to the combo, and this is going to start to get a little bit out of hand here. I don't like saying it only halfway through, but this is getting to the point where it's really scary. If you're supporting the United States, they're down by 250,000 points. They have 1 FC, 1 decent combo. South Korea has a triple FC on Finals Nomad 1 halfway through. We're past the second Ki. We're getting towards the point of no return here. This is going to start to get to the stage of the map where it's going to end if USA finds 1 more miss and South Korea just keeps holding.
Oh my god, they're hitting the hardest section of the map. Oh my god.
It's over. It's over. It's over.
Oh my god.
That's actually the GG right there.
The number 1 seed has been taken down. That's it. There's a quarter of the way left in the map. Trail Mix and Decaton scores are capped, and it's just on Taquito to try and hold it in the last quarter. And he can't do anything against 3-way FCs. It's just down to South Korea for how confidently they finish the map.
I don't know that I've ever seen a team look this good on a Nomad 1 in this stage of a tournament at this point in a match. When was the last time you saw a team holding a triple FC on a 7+ star Nomad 1 in a finals on the last pick of the entire match? The poise, the confidence being displayed by South Korea right now is beyond compare. This is one of the most ridiculous team scores, given the situation, given what's on the line, that you're going to see. and they are showing no signs of letting up at all. They are still holding the three-way, and I don't even want to think about this possibly happening. I can't react to this adequately. It's 2:30 in the morning, but oh my God, what is South Korea doing right now?
You need to note the fact that Taquito missed right at the beginning of the map, and as of this current point, that miss alone was enough to lose the United States this pick. They didn't even need to worry about the trail mix and decay and breaks later on in the map. It was literally over at the start. There's no way. No, I'm actually done. No, there's actually no way.
So
Kokoro, do not miss. He's shaking so bad. Do not miss.
So South Korea
that was disgusting.
Has just triple FC'd Nomad 1 at 6-5 to win the match, 7-5 to send themselves to the grand finals. If that's not putting an exclamation mark on a match, if that's not putting your stamp on a tournament, then by God, I don't know what the hell is, because that is one of the most ridiculous team scores you are ever likely to see.
I cannot. I am just awestruck at this performance from South Korea, and my apologies for my underwhelming reaction with my paper thin walls right now. But holy shit, South Korea, you 100% deserve to win this match. I can think of no team that deserves to win that match more than South Korea after that Nomad 1 performance. You know, we talked about going into this match what worst HR player was going to do and how the United States was going to mechanics pick against South Korea and how all this goes. And what we didn't count on is this entire team bringing it together at the very end of the match to take a break point and put up the best Nomad 1 performance we've seen out of a country team for however many years I can remember, regardless of OWC, 4WC, 3WC, whatever open rank tournaments you want to think of. That performance is just simply unmatched at this level of difficulty, and it was on the back of some extremely consistent performances from that entire team in this match. And the number 1 seed team now falls to losers bracket. They have to fight their way through the 3rd place match and then come back in grand finals and potentially try and win a bracket reset now. And South Korea is going to sit comfortably up in the winners bracket, the kings and queens of the throne, in a guaranteed 2nd place position to go into next weekend's matches.
And that's back-to-back international country-based tournaments where we now see South Korea entering grand finals from the winner's side. It's hard to put into words just how strong this country is and how good they have gotten, how consistent they have gotten, and how good their roster construction and their pick and ban is, because they were in some tricky places in this match and managed to find map wins when they needed them on their picks, and that's a really underrated skill. I'm just in awe, though, of the Nomad 1 at the end. I mean, that's really how you close out a match, and that's only starting the weekend. I mean, we still have 3 more matches this weekend. I don't know what's supposed to live up to that, but man, oh man, the other 4 teams left in the bracket certainly have their work cut out for them if they want to put up a spectacle worthy of the finals weekend that we just saw out of the United States and South Korea. For the United States' part, I mean, shout-outs to Decatur, shout-outs to Taquito doing everything they could to try to keep their team in that match. But South Korea just not to be denied despite their best efforts, and really that's what this came down to, was just the tiniest differences between the teams at the end of the day. That's South Korea. Like you said, guaranteed top 2, guaranteed the winner's side advantage in grand finals, so they get, you know, the bracket reset kind of going in their favor. If the other team wins, they still have that second chance. And now we just wait to see who it's going to be, because it could be one of 5 teams that they end up facing in that grand final. We've got Indonesia, Germany, as well as Hong Kong versus Italy tomorrow morning, or this morning, depending on how you're looking at it. The winners of those to take each other on, and the United States awaiting whoever comes out of those 4 teams. So there's a lot left to be done before South Korea knows they're playing in the grand finals. But based on what we've seen tonight, based on what we've seen of them this tournament, based on what we've seen of them just in Osu in general, they're not going to be scared of anyone.
I have, you know, I think I'm still out of words from that Nomad 1 performance, but, you know, like you said, we cannot discount the performance from the United States in this match. They put up an absolutely crazy fight, and, you know, we can 100% see why these are the top 2 teams in the tournament. You know, the United States being the number 1 seed, them losing or winning regardless, I think it shows that they're an extremely strong team, and I think it just shows that the caliber of teams at the upper level of this tournament, being the number 2 seed to win this, match here shows that there is so much competition to be had in this tournament and how strong this range is and how much we can expect out of this going into the future. So, well played to the United States. Best of luck to them in the losers bracket, and in even bigger kudos to South Korea, who now have secured themselves, another potential run at winning the tournament 2 years in a row. 1 year in a row. I keep forgetting that they won a long time ago. Did they win a long time ago? They won the first one.
Yeah, they won the first iteration of 3WC. I believe they would be the first team to win 3WC twice. There has not yet been a repeat winner. It's been all unique winners so far, with South Korea, United States, Taiwan, and who won last year? Hong Kong?
Hong Kong won last year against China.
Yeah, it's been all unique winners. So South Korea looking to become the first team to win a second. Same thing for the United States. So a lot on the line for these teams in terms of personal pride and achievement, for sure.
I love to see it. I absolutely love to see it. But that's going to do it for us for this match. That is the late Friday, early Saturday match for all of you tuning into the stream. We are going to come back at 12 UTC today. So that is in just about, I want to say 7 hours-ish? Six-ish, 7 hours? 5.5 hours. That's going to be Hong Kong versus Italy. That is the reigning champions versus the Italians, who have done a fantastic job for themselves to make it this far in the tournament. So do not miss that match. That'll be followed up at 14 UTC with another insane match, Indonesia versus Germany. All of these teams duking it out in some of the strongest gameplay we've seen in this tournament so far of every iteration, but those are not to be missed. That's going to do it for us tonight. T1G, you have any final thoughts for us?
I what's left to be said? South Korea. Kudos to South Korea. Chapeau, South Korea, on an amazing performance. And I can't wait to see what happens in the rest of finals weekend, and then in grand finals weekend. United States awaiting a tough matchup in losers final. South Korea awaiting currently on that top step. But everybody else that's left to play this weekend, trying to knock them down. So we'll get to find out who those teams might be tomorrow morning and over the course of this weekend and into next week. Make sure to follow. Make sure you're sticking around. Make sure to watch those matches, because they're not going to disappoint. I've been T1G. He's been ChillierPear. We'll see you guys 12 UTC for the next couple matches here in 3WC Finals weekend. Thank you for watching, and have a great night.